Squeeze my hand if you know who did this to you. They were some of the final words said to 15-year-old Tania Burgess.
He's known by the media as the baby-faced killer.
She was a typical 15-year-old girl, loved surfing, loved her friends, loved her family.
She'd been on her way home from school and was stabbed a staggering 48 times.
The stab wounds were all over her body, from head to toe basically. As to why such a brutal attack has occurred, police have been baffled.
He's known by the media as the baby-faced killer, a young man who was just a teenager when he followed a schoolgirl off the bus and stabbed her 48 times. That schoolgirl was 15-year-old Tania Burgess. Tania was attacked and died in broad daylight as she walked home in Foresters Beach on the New South Wales Central Coast. She barely knew her attacker, but it's thought in a passing blow she may have rejected him romantically in the weeks before she was murdered.
She knew as much of him as what we did, just that he was in the year above us at school, that he used to catch the same bus, and that as school kids we used to all joke around on the bus.
Yeah, it's not like there was ever a particular moment that anyone would be like, oh, you know, that's going too far, or he was never ever brought up in conversation to either one of us.
The attacker knew Tania's movements and knew where she would be at a certain time in the afternoon, where the murder took place was not far from the bus. So it showed a fair bit of planning on his part.
The boy can be known only by his initials DL because he was 16 at the time of the attack, making him a juvenile offender. This also meant a shorter sentence, which was reduced to just 13 years on appeal. Tania's family have fought tirelessly against his release and against the associated suppression laws which prevent the naming of juvenile offenders.
His name's not connected to being a murderer, and that is so totally unfair. Unfair in the juvenile justice system, and it's unfair for the victims.
As the law stands at the moment, you could meet DL or any other seriously violent offender who committed their offence as a minor and welcome them into your life with open arms. No Google search would pull up his name. No red flags to be raised, unless you have a reason to run a police check on his name. When DL was coming up for parole, I spoke to Tania's mother, Mandy Burgess. Mandy is an incredible pillar of strength who understandably deals with daily PTSD since losing her daughter in such terrible circumstances. There are no words on this earth to describe as a mother what I've gone through. I don't want him out hurting anyone else. I don't want it to be someone else's daughter. During our conversations, Mandy told me something chilling. A month before her daughter's murder, Mandy turned around to find DL in their kitchen.
It was a Friday afternoon and I was in my kitchen washing up, and I could feel a presence sort of beside me, and I looked towards the dining room and there was a boy dressed in a school uniform staring at me. And I asked him what did he want, and he said he was looking for somebody. He seemed a bit dazed. He seemed a little bit sort of not with it, and he started walking around my house in circles, and I said, "Are you sure you've got the right house?" And then he started attacking me and punching me and viciously assaulting me.
It is not known why DL had let himself into their home. Was this a sign he was stalking the family? Had he become infatuated with Tania and was trying to find her at home? Or was it just a random coincidental act of violence? As part of my investigations into this case, I spoke to some of the juvenile justice and prison staff who had looked after DL since he'd been inside. They painted the picture of a loner who was described as being unnervingly quiet, a young man who showed no remorse and had not admitted guilt in his offence. Here's what one officer said.
I wouldn't feel comfortable with him walking around. He's got a baby-faced look, so he doesn't look alarming, which is how a lot of murderers get away with it. You wouldn't look at him as threatening, only if you knew him, you wouldn't go near him.
DL is currently still incarcerated, but is eligible for parole every year, and has been since 2019, but was refused on his first attempt. One can only hope when he does get out, he's a changed man.